Betrayal broke, but not broken. She rose like a phoenix. Globally renowned interior designer and a successful entrepreneur.
My school teachers were very happy, but I loved the way the interiors was being done up. I'm so interested. This is so beautiful. It's about art, it's about color, it's about depth, it's about textures. Did I take the right decision?
Some other aspects you already covered, which I noted down as questions. That is, how did you manage at a time when you had to go to the karigars and actually tell them कि ये करना है, वो करना है, ये नहीं करना है. How did they would listen to you? Because that time there was, women handling these things was a rare case. So you already covered that.
Yes, I have done that. What I have not covered is something I know is probably ticking in your head to ask me. Is that was the only crisis? The answer is no. There was another crisis that all of us have faced only recently with the pandemic situation. And that has been a big crisis for a lot of people, particularly in my space where, work from home became a norm. Offices closed down. Businesses shrunk when it came to doing up interiors for corporate offices. Large offices, which had about a seating of 500 to 1,000 people, brought it down to 200, 300 people. 100 people offices became 10 people offices. And people, so obviously there was a big dent in the, in the space of interior design in the industry that I belong to. So what happened? One more crisis, okay? Would you want to know what happened with this crisis?
Of course. I mean, everything is connected over. Definitely.
So as you by now figured out that I'm the crisis queen, I like to say that to myself.
You are actually a go-getter. I mean, crises actually run away when you actually come over there.
So this time on, this was a crisis that came by and I looked around and, everybody seemed to be down and under because companies were shutting down, people were losing their jobs and people were getting pay cuts. And obviously my industry also, there was very little business, too many people trying to get the jobs. Labor was a very big thing because, labor left the cities and went back to their villages. And so there was a big crisis all over. But this time on, the great crisis lady called Lipika was all geared up, I'm like, okay, crisis is there. Now it's time to see the glass half full. So I'm like looking at the full part and saying, ignore the half part, which is the crisis. How do I make most of the full part? And I figure out that technology is the way forward, okay? Everything is about technology today. The fact that you and I are talking is technology. And it's something that a lot of people in my age and my, genre of work are very closed about. And they say, no, we can't do this, And trust me, I was also in the same boat for quite a while where I was, and I still am pretty technology challenged, but much better than my counterparts, However, I realized that there was a gap here, And the gap is that and I knew that technology is here to stay. It is not going. So it's better to embrace it than to reject it and wait for good days to come by, when life is back to normal and this, that, and the other. Because this is the new normal. This is the way our world is going to be. And this is what we need to embrace. So the sooner the people embrace it, the faster you will move. So I would look at the first mover's advantage, so to say. So in my industry, I also realize as being a creative person, creativity doesn't stop with just an interior space or a piece of art. It can go into graphics. It can go into software designing. It can go into web designing. It can go into so many other places. So I happen to come across some very interesting, very smart software engineers, young in their 30s. And they were, of course, grappling with the entrepreneurial part of the story, but they knew their job. And here I was with all the experiences that I had as an entrepreneur, running several companies in the past, and having all the experiences of failing. So, as I said, I by now knew quite a few of what not to do. And we just came together and we made another private limited company. And this was right in the middle of COVID 2 years ago. And let me tell you, we started again with just 3 people, and we are 17 people today. I, of course, do most of the back end because it's a very highly technical, kind of services that we provide. But we have clients globally now. It's beautiful to be able to service people across the globe, and all sitting here. And yeah, I would say just in 2 years, we've probably done 5x growth, and we are definitely looking at doing much better in the years to come. My interior design has also upped up a lot. I realized that sitting at home, if I can service a client sitting in Bangalore or Jaipur, why not service a client through Zoom and other things in other parts of the country? So I was in Italy recently, so doing a project there, doing some other very interesting projects which are in the pipeline.
Right?
That's right. Yes. And so I just love the fact that technology has brought us so much closer. The world's a global village now. And there's so much to learn, to grow. And thank God for this crisis that happened, the pandemic. I, of course, suffered very much last year, also during the Delta crisis. I had COVID, but that's okay. That's part of the thing. Everybody gets it at one time, I'm told. So there I was. But there is so much more to learn, trust me. So I think I am just not even 50% there when it comes to my career. I mean, there's more than half the story left in my life. And there's a long, long way to go. Of course, I'm not waiting for another crisis to happen so that I build further.
You don't need to have, I wouldn't know that. People are always in their minds living in crisis all the time. So it's nothing to do that.
Yeah.
People who are watching this, they can easily understand the kind of energy you exude, the vibe and the vibrations. It itself says where it is coming from. It is like you walk the talk. And when you said that the crisis removal lady is coming, so it is like you actually see opportunities in any kind of situation. And that is the biggest asset you have, I would say. That, it's incredible. And needless to say, you have been working in various other countries as well. Plus in every parts of India as well. And you have been also running some rural initiatives for the artwork to retain the cultural heritage of India. So with respect to that, where do you see right now, all the traditional art forms, all the creative people, all the creativity? What is your take in it, or where do you see it is going, and what do those people do who are very reluctant ki, oh no, some people are no change aayega to sab kuch khatam ho jayega. So what is your take on it?
See, so I have traveled the globe over and over again, several times around. And one very important thing that I every time come back to my country with is a lot of pride for my country. I'm completely proud to be Indian, and I actually run a campaign, which is a registered trademark campaign called Proud to be Indian by Lipika Sud. Now, why is this pride? The pride is about seeing so much of creativity in our own country, so much of art, so much of color, so much of beauty in small little things. You go to a village, you see this beautifully hand-painted hut. You go to any little small place in a rural area, and you will find women dressed up so beautifully, so colorfully, so aesthetically, and with all the beautiful jewelry, the clothes, the tika, the bindi, and all of that. It's just so beautiful. But what we lack as a culture is the pride, and particularly the pride and the joy and the knowledge about our culture, particularly in the younger generation. And therefore, it is very, very important to create the awareness amongst the youngsters. It is, I don't blame them also completely, is because our curriculums don't include a lot of the art and the craft, which now the government has declared as dying crafts. Crafts like the paper cutting craft, which is Sanji, which is only 2 families are left to do this craft, from Mathura. And this has been coming through the generations. It has been even, appeared in the Mahabharata and the Ramayans of our, mythological books. But unfortunately, The newer generations don't know about it. Therefore, these crafts are dying. What we need to do is not just come together. We need to create that awareness and the awareness so that not only does the pride of our culture is retained, sustained, and taken further to the next generations to appreciate, but also the craftsmen. They need to be economically be empowered. They need to be given work. They don't need charity. What they need is work, because this is what they have learned from their forefathers. And if we don't give them enough work, the craft will die, the craftsmen will disappear, and they will probably end up doing some, menial jobs here, there, and everywhere, which will be a great loss to our nation. So I think collectively, there's so much that we can do with our crafts. And there is so much scope of showcasing these crafts across the globe, because there are people across the globe who appreciate these Indian arts and crafts. It's what the problem is that our own Indian communities, our own people don't appreciate it. The moment they start appreciating it, they start patronizing it, it will be a very huge step in the right direction. It's going to be completely a win-win situation. And we all must be sensitive towards it and collectively work towards it.
That is so true. And I think what you mentioned about they need to be economically empowered and they need to be given work. Because if, the young people, or even if you go and say ki this kind of traditional artwork, there is something known as Madhubani, there is something known as, Ajraki, there is something known as this kind of, works of Indian culture. Many people don't even know about it. So is it like big time awareness issue?
Yes, there are two basic aspects to this, Som, since this is a subject very, very close to my heart, and I'm glad you've asked me this question. There are two things. One is, of course, the awareness. If you don't know about something, how do you even be able to appreciate it? So that's one, knowledge. The second is to make this whole art a little more glamorous. What we are lacking is that the traditional art is coming in the same form over the years and are being showcased in the same traditional way, which may not be relevant in today's modern living. So how to contemporize it? Without losing the soul of the craft, how does one make it more contemporary, more discerning to the young millennial or the young customer who is now moving towards a very global, way of lifestyle and working and everything else. So that's where, as I said, proud to be Indian, my campaign actually has a studio where we are doing research, and we are creating products which are very modern in nature, but with the traditional crafts. But the crafts are retained in a way that the soul of the craft is not disturbed. Yet they take the form of fancy bars, they take the form of consoles with mirrors, they take the form of clothing like, dupattas and jackets and saris on textiles. They even take the form of very nice large mirror frames that can get into people's living rooms. And so there's a lot of young mind and not so young mind like mine come together and come up with products which are then very, attractive to the younger audience. And therefore, the craft, I think, is one of the ways that can survive. I hope it does.
Absolutely. I'm with you on this because, when I have been speaking with various people who are working in these kind of initiatives to help the artisans and all, a lot of crafts are actually just vanishing away because there is no demand for it because people don't know about it. And the way also it's presented, like if you see nowadays, the copper bottles, you're good to have water. But the problem is when we try to do marketing, people actually like marketing can be like a weapon. It can be for the best causes and it can be for the worst causes. So something like that day I was talking to a manufacturer of copper, glass bottles and everything. So I said, you also make copper mugs, like cups. Is it for water? They said, no, those are for alcohols and, hot tea and etc. I said, in copper, you can have these. So he said, no, it's, harmful for the health. But even if we tell the clients it is harmful for the health, you just have to drink water and copper. They want, nahi, aap bana ke do, hame to bas gift karna hai. So that's why we make and give it. I was like, okay. So, the awareness, or even people know it, but still. So, somewhere in India, just like you said, you are like a globe trotter, I would say. It feels like marketing or the awareness is at such a level. If people can, there is education, but there is also a level of self education. How much time are you spending on internet to scroll through what kind of things? It's up to us. It's like self responsibility also. So yeah.
I that's very nicely put. So I truly believe that it's the design industry that is going to take the economy forward in years to come. And when I say design, it's design in every space, be it design in product, be it design in architecture, art, paintings, music, dance, performing arts, anything. But it's the creative people who are going to really, really thrive, and they're going to take the whole economy forward, provided they are willing to understand that even though their creativity is very high, which is essentially a function of the right brain, what they need to hone is the left brain, which is the analytical brain, which is the business side, which they need to develop, which they need to learn. And this is where, as of today, I'm looking at trying to educate or trying to share my ideas with a large number of creative people to tell them that, listen, these are the things that need to be followed for your extremely good talent to come out into the world, to be known, and not just known, to be translated into monetary gains. Because if they don't get translated into money, which is a byproduct, they will not be able to thrive in the space that they are in. And it is not gone are times when you just survived. This is the time to thrive. And why not? If a person is good with his art or his craft, he deserves to be known, he deserves to be recognized, and he deserves to earn a lot of money. The problem is with that person, because he is not willing to step out of his comfort zone of being only in that creative space, and therefore also look out to be able to learn and imbibe and implement the other aspects for him to grow in a very holistic 360-degree manner. And that is where the impediment is. So a lot of creative people are their own, this thing. Roadblocks, absolutely. Their own enemies, if I may use the term, which may sound a little strong at this point of time. But I can tell you, if you look into the lives of a lot of extremely creative people, be it fashion, like maybe a Sabyasachi, who's extremely creative, but also has looked at the business side of his creativity in a very, very concerted manner, built on it, has, built his space there and his, name, collaborated with international brands like H&M and others, and actually brought Indian fashion into the global genre and has created a huge mark in the so-called international fashion industry. I think it's absolutely commendable. And I can go on and on with so many other brands, Ritu Kumar and this, that, and the other, and also in different spaces, be it architecture with Dr. B.V. Doshi, recently winning the RIBA medal and all of that. So I think the problem is that we don't want to get out of our comfort zone. Sometimes we don't want to learn thinking, oh, it's all, we know it all. Or we think that it is not for me. Or we think that we are too good. Why should we market ourselves? It will cheapen our craft or our artistic, talent. So it's a whole lot of why, we, what. But I think it's time to sort of accept and acknowledge what the market demands, learn it, moderate yourself, change yourself to the, the situations. And the sooner you're able to adapt to the changing times, I think you can be a winner all the way.
Which brings me to a particular segment, which is like, you have been an entrepreneur over like 3 decades. You have seen every transformation in the entrepreneurship domain, not just in India, but the world as well. You have had different flavors of different industries, not just in designing, even in software design and whatnot. Um, Coming to that, you have an initiative, Creativepreneur, right? So, what is it about, and who is it for, and what is your vision with it?
See, so, over the years, I have come across a lot of designers. Some who have interned with me, worked with me, some who have aspired to work with me, and I've not been able to help them because I can only take limited number of people. Also, I've observed a lot of people who are genuinely talented. And it's not just about interiors alone. I'm talking about every creative field. They are actually very good singers, dancers, or painters, artists, but they have not been able to translate that into a entrepreneurship. And therefore I feel at this point of my career I need to reach out to them and tell them how, by taking some simple steps, not very difficult steps. I'm not here trying to talk MBA jargons. I do not think that enrolling oneself in an MBA program can help you really translate your life into a very big business person. But by just taking simple steps, by being able to address what your niche is. People don't even know what it means to create a niche, to focus on what a branding is all about, to understand the market that you need to serve, to be able to create and understand and address a gap that there could be in the market where you need to serve it, to be able to understand that communication is a very key important aspect of any business, and not just creative business, but more for creative people, because unless and until you're able to communicate across to the other person what you are set out to do and why you are doing what you're doing. And a lot of designs are out of the box, be it art, be it painting, be it clothes, be it so many other things. The other person on the other end will never be able to understand it or recognize it or accept it or even buy it. So therefore, all those things are important. Handling finances, a very, very important aspect of business. Strategizing it, understanding that, you need to have, beyond a point of time in your career, have your own money work for you, is a very important aspect. You can't live paycheck to paycheck, month to month and everything for the rest of your life. And these are not difficult things to really adopt if you know how to do it. People are not willing to either learn, or there are not people there out there to teach them either. So I think what I do is I identify some students who I think, and these are students of different ages. It could be a 60-year-old. My last batch had a 60-year-old lady and a 25-year-old girl from a design school. So it all depends on, what your hunger for being able to be successful is. And if I realize that, yes, the person has the capability, but does not have the knowledge, I'm willing to handhold and help them to reach their desired, destination. There's no destination. Life is an ongoing cycle, but at least to a point where they can very easily, create a mark for themselves.
I think you just opened like the Pandora's box for all the art, creative people who want to take it to the next level, but they don't know the how to of it. So anyone who is looking to connect with Lipika, I'll leave the links below. You can contact her and learn from her how to take it to the next level. Now, Lipika, few short answer questions. Okay. So first, I would definitely love to ask you, what is that one thing, or maybe a little more than one things, that till now you have not shared with anyone and people don't know about you?
Oh, I think my life's been quite an open book. However, I think, my desire to do more paintings. I've been painting all my life. But, with the kind of businesses I've chosen and the kind of work-life balances that I've had to do, I've not been able to give very much time to the art and the paintings that I would love to have done in my past. However, thanks again to the pandemic, and these 2 years helped me create at least about 12 to 13 very good artworks. Because earlier what used to happen, I would paint and somebody would take it away, or I would put it up in a site or a particular project, and that's it. However, now I've at least started collecting my artworks. I pull out time. Sometimes I paint through the night, and then I'm able to put it together. So I hope that by the end of a year, I'm able to put up an exhibition of some sorts of my own paintings. And yes, that
Wow,
is
your
something.
own exhibition of artworks.
Yes,
That's
yes.
something I'm looking forward to visit.
Thank you. I
Almost, and I'm looking forward to see your paintings as well. So, how many are you targeting to, almost, have in the exhibition?
I think to do a solo show, I need at least 25 to 30 pieces of artwork to begin with. But I don't know. I hope I'm able to, reach that figure. But yes, it should not be difficult because
It's
it's
not hope, right? You are example, so it's
it
still
is
time
something.
is there.
Actually, it's very therapeutic for me. I'm telling you, when I paint, it's very meditative. It's very relaxing, even though physically it's very exhausting because I also do these very large canvases, you see,
Yeah.
and they require a lot of energy. They require standing up for long hours or even bending down sometimes, depends on what part of the painting I'm working on. But yes, it is physically very exhausting, but mentally very, very satisfying and very, very, energizing and liberating.
That's valuable because when you stay away whole night to do something that you love so much, it's very much understandable. But yeah, definitely. So next is, what are your new projects or initiatives that you would, like to share with the world that you're coming up with or you are currently having?
Well, interiors is something that will go on. That's cycling, and I love it. So that's a no-brainer. That newer projects and more number of projects will keep on happening, and I will the show will go on in that space. The other thing is, of course, the art and craft. Unfortunately, there was a little bit of a pause because, as I said, the labor was not available. My small in-house team was also not working due to COVID. It was a work from home scenario, and then craft is something which is very hands-on. So beyond a point, you can't do work from home when it comes to something which is to be done physically. So let us hope I'm able to revive that. And of course, there's one more thing that I love and enjoy doing is learning from the great people who I have come across in my life. So I do a whole lot of interviews, like so you are doing an interview. I so enjoy learning from people, particularly in the space of architecture, art, design. And so I have done a whole lot of, all through COVID, I have done interviews with Padma Shris and Padma Bhushan awardees in different spaces and different genres. And there's been such a learning experience in each and every dialogue that I've had with these people. And that's where I'd like to build it further. Let's hope I'll get more opportunities to do the same. But it's not just about learning from their wins, it's also learning from their failures and bringing it to the world. And I just love that journey and I hope to continue with that.
Absolutely. And it's not hope, you will do it.
Thank you.
So, okay. What has been the craziest thing? I know you have done a lot of crazy stuffs, so no comparison in that, but any particular thing that comes to your mind and you feel like, why the hell did I do that? Some kind of crazy stuffs have you done till now? Or you are waiting? मुझे ऐसा कुछ करना.
I'm generally very spontaneous and I do lots of crazy things all the time. Yeah, I don't know. I'm probably haven't done the craziest thing yet. But just before COVID, I broke a ligament. I fell down and I had a meniscus tear. I was on a wheelchair. And this is when, thanks to internet, I was surfing the net. And I came across a program that was to be conducted in Mahabalipuram that for trainers and coaches. Let me tell you, I'd never done any training, coaching. That was not my space at all, even till date. I mean, I do some training, but it's only for, for very select groups and for a particular kind of, people. So I just enrolled myself and there I was with a broken leg at Mahabalipuram, attending a training and coaching seminar for 3 days.
And you were in a wheelchair.
I was almost in a wheelchair, a crutch for sure. I couldn't find a wheelchair there. But yeah, I would hobble to the place and people realized I was in a bad shape. So they would give me that first seat to sit on. And I so enjoyed myself, learning from various coaching and training, greats. And it was it was another world altogether, but I loved it. Yeah. So it was people who I probably thought I'd lost it. Why would I, wrap up and that too in a state like that?
That is definitely crazy. And
But I enjoyed it. I learned a lot.
To the sea as well, to the beach as well. Did you go?
I couldn't go because with a broken leg, how does one hobble to the beach? No way. So I would, and I love to dance. So there were DJs and all those things happening at night. But I couldn't dance, but I would sit down and watch everybody. It was a huge jam-packed audience, about 200-300 people, if I may say. So this is a company called Success Gyan, which does some very interesting programs from time to time. I got introduced to them for the first time, and but I thought it was a great experience. There were these young 30-year-olds like Siddharth Rajshekhar, Rajiv Talreja, and so many others. And there were these two young kids, all of 18 years of age, who did something with I'm not so sure what exactly some gaming things that they do, and that's how people understand it. But my fascination was more about how the world has changed, how the whole approach towards work, business, communication, everything has changed. So I just enjoyed this whole process of learning, frankly. What I would do with that learning when I come back was not understood by me at that point of time. I did, of course, some very interesting courses, online webinars, which was a bit overwhelming for me, trust me, because the response was actually very overwhelming. I had a Zoom platform of about 100, and I think some 500 enrolled, and so on and so forth. So I had to up my Zoom platform. Then I thought I'd take only 20 students, and then 50 enrolled, and then I had to return money. And then they were very upset that why am I returning money to them? Maybe they were not good enough. So I had to it wasn't easy for me, Then I tried some one-on-ones, which was also very exhausting. Trust me. I salute people who can do one-on-one training because it is very, very exhausting. It is very satisfying because you then understand and get into the depth of the other person's business. But then your business goes for a toss, I guess. And then it's also, you're like, they expect you to be available at all times, and unending long discussions also happen, which I also tend to get flowed into. Frankly, I don't even have this mindset of no, by the clock, you need to deliver. Because for me, it's also not just business. For me, it's an extension of my passion. Because if I were to look at it in real terms, the opportunity cost is very high. In the same time, if I were to take up an interior project, I would probably turn it around and make 5 times, 20 times more, actually, not 5 times. It's not about the money any longer. It's also about touching people's lives. That's why I also do these small motivational videos every Sunday. From the time COVID happened, every Sunday, no matter whether I'm unwell or I'm traveling, that video post comes on without fail. And that has happened for the last 2 years, and I hope to continue with it. It's just a 2-minute video, but I record anything that I feel I need to share. Not that people haven't heard about it. It could be any subject, from desires to goals to jealousy to detachment to anything. I don't know, whatever comes to my mind. But yes, I feel even if it's a drop in the ocean, and if there's that little drop and I'm able to change that drop in that ocean, if I don't do that drop, the ocean will be less by that one drop. So why not add that drop? So yeah, that is my approach towards life in general today.
That is so powerful. And yes, your videos on Instagram that is there, those are lovely, that you have been posting weekly. And anyone who is listening to right now, you can go and check her Instagram and can follow where she actually uploads the videos every week out there. And definitely that's the craziest thing to do with a clutch. You go to a seaside place, historical place, and then you attend the
training and coaching sessions.
Training
I've never done any coaching and training in my entire life.
out of your domain, and then too you don't get to go to the beach, but you then again come back and then so yes, that I totally buy in. That's a one of the recent craziest thing that you have done.
Absolutely.
Okay, so all right, so any kind of annoying things that you keep seeing happening almost, you know, in your workspace or in the industry, or something that you just feel ki ye khatam kyun nahi hota hai? Any
Well, currently, the most annoying thing is people who live with excuses. And their biggest excuse is, oh, COVID happened, so therefore I failed. Trust me, they were anyway not doing much in life. But now they have got this excuse. So at the drop of a hat, everybody who is not doing well has this ready example and excuse of COVID. And I'm telling them, I mean, I wonder why, because frankly, no matter which trade you are in, if you were to look at the positives of COVID, it gave us so much time to, uh, reflect. It gave us so much time to change our course. It gave us so much more time to be able to look at our finances. It gave us so much more time to get rid of all the nonsense that we were sitting on. It gave us so much time to be able to get rid of our so-called egos and our false things, because at the end of the day, we all realize we are just puppets in the hands of one thing, and that is somebody who's up there controlling us. So we don't know whether tomorrow is there, but unfortunately people still don't know how to enjoy the today. People still don't know how to enjoy the moment that they are breathing, and that is the unfortunate part, and that's what really annoys me. Why cannot people enjoy the now? Either they are sulking about the past, कि उसने ये नहीं किया, so and so didn't do this, so and so didn't do that, therefore I am today suffering because of that. Or they are cribbing about their future. What will happen to the future? Now what will I do? Now I don't have a job, and now my business has shut down. Now my wife's walked out on me, or my husband's not giving me money. And the list goes on and on and on and on and on. So what really annoys me are people who live with excuses, and they will continue to live with excuses and die with excuses, because people who really want to do something in their lives will anyway do it, whether it's a pandemic today, a tsunami tomorrow, or an earthquake day after.
So very well put, because if abhi, if they are not shaken right now to wake up, then when, after all these. So if not an entrepreneur, what would Lipika be?
I'm already a mixture of so many things, but yes, art is very much up my sleeve. Theater is something I'd always enjoyed, but unfortunately never had the guts to, do something about it, in a professional space. But yes, given a chance, if there are opportunities of an old woman being required on stage.
Why old woman? I mean, seriously, since you never, you never stepped foot onto it, why not just,
let's see, why not? Yeah, I've never really given it a shot in terms of trying to approach somebody to be able to give me an opportunity. I remember in college, I did approach my theater, people, and then they gave me a role where I had to play the part of a witch. I accepted it because nobody else was taking that part. So I said, okay, it doesn't matter, I'll become the witch. And there I was, perched up on a tree.
Was it a real tree?
It wasn't a real tree, thank God for it. It was on the stage, and I was standing behind, perched up, behaving as though I'm on a tree, but I was not really on that tree, which was a cardboard kind of a thing. And I had probably all of 2 lines to say. I don't even recollect, but I remember him becoming the witch.
See, you've already tasted that water as well. So why not this venture?
I enjoy. I mean, for me, if it just, if it's something without a script, if something that is to be just done spontaneously, I would love it, Like, for instance, this interview, I know I had no clue what you're going to ask me. It's just that I'm pouring my heart out. I know I'm honest, and I'm just being, being there in the moment, enjoying every moment of whatever we are doing right now, sharing. And trust me, it gives me a high when I get involved in activities like this one and similar ones. So it could be raining after a while, and I'll probably step out into the garden and take a shower right in the rain, So I do all of this. It rained after years, after months, sorry, in Delhi. Delhi's become super hot, but 3 days ago it rained incessantly. So all I did was cancel a meeting and got into my pajamas, stepped out into the rain, and I just stood there for about half an hour. After which, of course, I started feeling very cold. And I had pins and needles. But yes, I do all kinds of crazy things even now and all the time.
So beautiful, because right now it's, thunderstorm is going on and it's raining easily outside here in Bombay.
Now you know what you need to do.
Yeah, you are just
step out and enjoy it.
You're just inspiring me to do the same. But yeah, definitely your journey is so amazing. But before I go, I know, it's like amazingly beautiful time you have given over here. And I am thoroughly enjoying. So we are just in a flow. I want to also, listen from you, your experience, which I think you had in around 2004 or something, your experience with when you were, started your spiritual journey and everything with Sadhguru. How did it happen? And, what was
yes. Oh my goodness.
And I couldn't miss that part. So I really want to, ask you.
So very honestly, I'll be very honest with you. Since you asked me this question, how did it happen? It happened by chance. Okay, I have generally have had mental blocks with all gurus and, astrology and spirituality and all that kind of stuff. So I was never the kind who would knowingly enroll myself in a guru kind of a situation. But I had a friend of mine who was going to Coimbatore to attend a yoga session. And yoga is something I had been practicing for a while. We grew up with seeing Swami Dhirendra Brahmachari on television when we had black and white television in our old days. I don't know whether you would remember. You were probably
course,
not born.
The television where you used to have to go and slap and the box would just...
Yes. So from there on, I had that little thing inside about yoga. So I thought this is a yoga, center that we were going to. And this is called the Isha Yoga Center. And so I got, and, adventurous that I am and crazy that I am. I said, yeah. For me, it was like a break. And I hadn't seen Coimbatore, not realizing that it was nowhere near Coimbatore. It was outskirts and, near the Velangari foothills. However, I reached there and I see that the living conditions were not as great as I had expected them to be, because it's an ashrama at the end of the day. And I said, it's okay. It's an inner engineering 7-day program. I'll manage. And there on the first day, I sit in a hall with loads of people. And there is this bearded man and all of that. And he starts talking. So I'm telling my friend, who's this now? He says, he's Sadhguru. He's the main man. I said, but I don't believe in this guru shuru business. Please. I thought this was a yoga center and we were to do some yoga. And you also promised me some great South Indian food. Where is all that? So he says, it's coming. Then, I said, okay, now that I'm here, let me let go, be in the moment, let me enjoy it. And within about half an hour of listening to Sadhguru, I was completely mesmerized. And by the end of the session, which was about 3 hours where he just talked and a bit of interaction that happened with the audience, I think by the end of the 3rd hour, I was completely madly in love with him. As in love. I can't even explain to you. That's probably the way the man is. I was so drawn to him that fortunately he was at that time taking all the classes himself. Now, of course, he's, grown and become, this unavailable, you can't reach him kind of a person. But however, I was so fascinated that we used to end up going to the village nearby to distribute food. I would go with him. We would play handball, and there were times he would just sit around and talk. So trust me, I have discussed everything under the sun with him, even including why there's so much importance given to sex and why it is to be, how important it is to be married to be able to have sex and things like that, which was like a taboo to a lot of people. And in fact, people thought I was crazy asking him these questions, but he gave such sensible answers because, he is basically very educated, an engineer by training, and very modern with all his Harley Davidson and everything around him. He is so grounded, so now, so focused, so he makes you feel so comfortable that I feel he can answer any question under the earth with the clarity that he has in his mind, that can only be felt when you listen to him. And that's where the journey started. Of course, the hatha yoga that I learned, and the Shambhavi and so on and so forth. I'm sure you would know all of that. And that helped me tremendously for my body and mind alignment. It helped me to handle a lot more problems which were happening on a day-to-day basis. Every day life gives you shit. There's so many problems that happen. There are highs and there are lows. And so that tremendously helped me. And I continued with my journey of doing yoga even after that for several years. There's a center here in Osho, in Delhi, not too far away from where I live, where classes are conducted from time to time. I volunteered several times whenever the inner engineering programs happen in Delhi or in Gurgaon or in Noida. And it's always good to attend those because you get to refresh whatever you have learned in the past. And yeah, overall, I think he helped me change my entire view towards life in general. And I think a lot of people would say the same. And I can only, even a thank you is not sufficient for me to tell you how much it has impacted me and continues to impact me even today.
I can totally resonate with your feeling and thoughts, something which can't be described in words. But yeah, I definitely wanted to listen from you in detail, how it, because you have actually been in that space when, Isha was full-fledgedly, not the Isha that is there today, but you doing this because, see, people say that earning money makes you successful, but that's just a shallow part of it. It's not even touching the core of it. So you are a person who have been there on both sides of the table, seen money, seen no money, seen all kinds of different people and different stuffs. Plus you have also, actually walked the path of spirituality. I would say every person has it, but it depends on how much intensity they have it within them. So you are one such person who actually have it. And I actually wanted to share it with the audience that you just can't do anything and everything in life thinking, oh, spirituality is just a subject, so just run away. So only you go when you feel depressed or sad. So it's not like that. So thank you for sharing that, Lipika. This is such an amazing journey. And I'm just waiting when you are writing your book or something like that, because it's going to be amazing.
I hope so.
Absolutely. And anything you want to share with the audience or the world, that whatever is coming to you right now? So before we close.
So I think I can only learn from people around me, frankly. I don't think I've evolved so much as to share some gyan with some people. But all I can say is, guys, believe in yourself. A lot of problems occur when people stop having faith in themselves. The moment you have faith in yourself, and don't let little setbacks pull you down. Don't let other people talking or judging you pull you down. Don't allow naysayers or people who are complainers pull you down. Just have faith in what you're doing. Stay true. Work towards your skills. Don't expect quick fix solutions. Don't become a jugadu in whatever you're doing. Don't think life is instant coffee. It's not a 2-minute Maggie noodle. Learn the hard way, the big way. Learn your skills. Master becoming the chef. Master becoming whatever you are, whichever space you're in. Don't be money focused. Be career and talent focused. Money will automatically follow. Money will touch your feet. People will run after you if you're good at your work. People will seek you out. The point is, how good are you with your work? How good are you with your craft? And that can only be possible when you're honest, when you're devoted, when you are patient and you learn your skills and learn it every single day. Your biggest competition is only you. You need to be better today than you were yesterday. If you think today you're a better version of what you were yesterday, you are on the right path, no matter which genre, which space you are in, which industry you are in. You are going to come out as a winner all the way, no doubt there.
I think this was the biggest takeaway anyone can get, because you are a person who actually lives in such a beautiful bungalow in Delhi with so many cars, and you have done everything that any person who thinks, oh, that person is rich, does this. But on the same aspect, the place where I got connected, or I so much respect and look up to you, is that you are so grounded with all kinds of knowledge, experience, and so much success in life. You are a person. I still remember the discussion with you. Why do I need an assistant? I can handle myself. अगर जरूरत नहीं है तो क्यों? I love doing these things myself. So I still remember that when you actually said this. So this shows, this is also part of being authentic, who you are. So you, like, a genuine person, actually that beauty automatically comes out, and you are one of them. So
thank you so much. Feels good to know that it doesn't happen by design. It just so happens that I like to be who I am and just stay, on earth instead of flying just because, of some accolade or somebody says something about you good. Because, my entire intention almost every day is not about, as they say, it's not what you say or what you do with somebody. It's how you make them feel. And that is the empathy and the emotion that I want to live with each and every day. And if that helps me stay grounded, I rather work on that empathy and that emotion more than anything else in the world.
So beautiful, Lipika. I am so grateful, and thank you so much for coming to this show. And I would love to keep on having this discussion, but we have to, stop it somewhere. And I'm so thankful to you for your time. I know how much you are busy, and it's been a pleasure talking to you, your experience, and the way you have actually put things in such a simple manner. So I'm sure whoever is listening to it and whoever would be listening to it at least can take one thing and implement it in their life. So it's been amazing. And
thank you, sir.
Fun talking to you.
Likewise, I've so enjoyed it. I really wish you all the success, Som, and you have a great career ahead. And I can see that spark in you. Just be at it, and sky's the limit.
Thank you so much, Lipika. Thank you so much. It's lovely, and all the best to all your endeavors and everything. All the best.
Thank you, and love you all. Thank you.